Oh, what a great pleasure to have my buddy Gabriel Saragovia here today for the Land Steward Alliance. And Gabriel is a friend who I've known just about as long as I've lived in Costa Rica. I've lived here 2 decades now, and majority of that time I've known you, and you've been not just a buddy, but invaluable resource on everything from a local perspective on how to do things in Costa Rica to just hooking me up with everything that I needed. Every contact, there was always in WhatsApp like three people when I asked you for something. And so, one, just very grateful for who you've been in my life, and wanted to invite you here today to shed a little bit of perspective on what's happening in Costa Rica in regards to tourism and development. Um, and I'll do a brief bio. You can add anything I've missed. But I met you originally in a time where you had Tabacon, one of the coolest hot spring properties in Costa Rica, with your family as stewards, and later went on to do Rio Perdido, which I don't even know what to call it. It's a place. It's one of the coolest places on Earth or Mars I've ever been. And I know it's been a labor of your love and to build a project here. Um, I visited many times with friends, girlfriends, clients, teachers, had the coolest experiences there. And yeah, it's rare to see good examples of projects that are both locally acceptable, cultural, sustainable, beautiful. Like there's no lack in luxury. Um, and so, yeah, just wanted to talk to you a little bit about your story in that regard. And yeah, specifically how you see Costa Rica today with different kinds of development, overdevelopment, conversations around gentrification or, et cetera. I wanted to actually talk to a Costa Rican and hear what you think and hear the perspective of a local person on how to do this thing that a lot of people are looking to do right, um, which is, yeah, some breed of hospitality retreat properties that are popping up, eco villages and residential projects. So yeah, I'll pause there and let you speak for a while.
Well, you made a very nice intro, and of course, there's always more to share. But you and I have trouble stopping at some point. Like we have so much to talk about. And first of all, I want to say that thank you for giving me the time every now and then to converse and to have a meaningful, awesome conversation. Because a lot of people call it interviews, but you don't interview, you converse, and that's a rarity nowadays. You give me that, and I thank you for that. But you also give me a little bit of envy because for the first time ever, I like the way your beard is looking, and I'm starting
Hmm,
to get a little bit because I think I always had the edge with
you did.
mine for a
Yeah,
long time. I'm your senior, and you could tell by the whiteness of that. But
I'm getting
right
there.
now, yeah, right now I'm a little worried, dude. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna have to grow it out a little bit. Go for the rabbi look soon.
Yeah, listen, it was my mom's birthday, so I had to shave it much closer than I normally do.
But it looks damn good. So, anyways, you said you wanted to speak to a Costa Rican, and that makes me very happy because, I have, multiple citizenships, and there's a part of me in several places, but I spend a lot of time with Costa Ricans, and I think that they're very loving, and we get along very, very well. My best friends are ticos, and that's what I love most about Costa Rica. But sometimes I'm seen as kind of like the imported folk. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of an expat, but I identify as Tico. I'm quite Costa Rican by now. I even arrive late to like most of my meetings. I'm not on
Good,
time.
good, good,
And
good.
I always say like if you can't beat them, join them, and it's fine. There's only a couple of things that I won't accept that I won't assimilate. Um, but we won't talk about that today.
Yeah, so, it's an interesting thing because I usually sit at a crossroads of well-intentioned people coming here as I did close to 20 years ago. Um, yeah, to live a very different kind of life. There are people who care about ecology, they see the world changing, they want their kids to go to different kind of schools, and um, there is also an influx of those people since COVID that has created areas like Nosara and Santa Teresa to see overdevelopment and both sides of it, like real issues, crowding out of living, different stuff, poor infrastructure management, waste management. And then other things that are, on the side of, I would say, um, natural. People come, people move, and so there are places like Uvita that are more spread out, that is finding like a more organic growth. So in general, I saw a thing where, and I've spoken to Ticos and Gringos about this, where in some sense, people are like, wow, there's way too much happening. Okay. In another sense, like I was blown away. I'll just give an example briefly. I went to Arnal with Jorge Guerrero, my partner, Tico. And I said, Jorge, Arnal is very developed. There's a lot of properties, tourism. It's gentrified. He said, no. I said it's overdeveloped. He said, relatively speaking, no. Like a certain area has a density. And I said, well, why is this different? But these are big operators, big hotels, tour buses. He said, these are all owned by Costa Ricans. He's
It's
like, it's a
true.
beautiful
It's
example.
it's it's very true, especially there. And this is the most visited part still today, I think. I mean, in the most recent stats that I've seen, Arenal is still the most visited part of the country. And I don't know how they measure that, but that's always
Yeah.
been it's been the case for a long time. And yeah, we've worked with a lot of operators, with a lot of tour desks, and I think they've all been Costa Rican with a lot of transport service providers. And it's not like there's this like local mafia that protects. It just
Yeah.
happened. I think it happened organically, and I think that's nice. Obviously, very nice. It hasn't been gentrified, not Arenal. And again, this is coming from a person that doesn't think that gentrification is always a bad thing. It's actually usually a good thing if done properly. You said it hasn't been gentrified, it hasn't been overdeveloped. That's true. It has been distastefully developed.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah.
know if you want to get into that, but that's like a different subject. That's a lot of people think that's highly subjective. It's not. I mean, if art and good taste were like that, then why would there be famous artists like Picasso or Goya? I mean, these people obviously brought something to the table that was universally awesome and good taste. And there might be a few people that don't like it, but most people will agree that they were fantastic painters. Caravaggio is,
Hmm.
undoubtedly an amazing painter, whether you like his style or not.
Yeah, and
Um,
there's a lot of like, just to say it simply, there's a lot of overbuilt monstrosities there, or
Monstrosities. Who thought? Oh, sorry, I'm getting a little bit of a. Someone needs attention. This is Chewy. He
oh, hi
needed
Chewy. Hello,
he needed a
Michael.
little attention, so I'm just bringing him up here for a little bit because otherwise
Yeah,
he's not going to
we're,
let us converse.
we're
Uh,
pet friendly. Um, Yeah, and also, by the way, I did notice in Arnell that, there when I got to Costa Rica and I went to certain natural like places to see the natural wonders, I saw these like dorky older and younger people with the binoculars and the bird watchers and people into wellness and mindfulness and Osho meditation and whatever. And now since COVID, I would say roughly it's been a very different kind of mix of people who are coming in. And so I also see like if you're a brand, you're a hospitality brand, a company, and you're targeting a customer, there's a customer that's always respected this land and its people, the nature lover, the health and wellness,
I
the,
love it. I
yeah,
love that. I love that profile. I'm gonna rewind a little bit just
yes.
to give that a prelude. In 2020, I participated in a podcast that was not that distributed. It was actually organized by ICT,
Mhm.
and there was only like three or four of us, including the Minister of Tourism. And I said something, and I think I said it probably without choosing my words that well. I said that Costa Rica deserved to go look for a different market because we could. The way I said it, I don't remember the exact words, sounded very elitist, like socio-economically elitist.
Okay.
But I actually responded later. I said, no, guys, this is not, doesn't have to do, I mean, it might have something to do with your power of acquisition, but at the end of the day, it's a different kind of elitism. It's based on favoring those which are conscious, which make an effort to really understand and appreciate and love. That's a strong word, and love the place that they're visiting. the people that come to Costa Rica and immediately click with it and say, wow, this area,
Hmm.
probably not Fortuna de Arenal, but like a little bit ways from that. You're in Santa Teresa, you go a little bit to the south, you're in Cabo Blanco, which is
Yeah.
still wow. And
Yeah.
99.9%, if not more, of the people that visit that area don't go to Cabo Blanco. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's an incredible
like
place, by
something
the way.
like yeah, yeah, something like 80% of the visitors will go to like the top 3 or 4 parks. But
Hmm.
there's so much other beautiful undisturbed land, and we want those people that come there and they're not like, scared by the ants on the floor, even inside their room. Yeah, there's 3 ants in your room. You have a problem with that, you're in the wrong place. The people that come to Costa Rica and click with it, they don't care about that. They
Yeah.
really appreciate that. And that's what I meant when I was talking to Gustavo, the minister at the time. I said we really should stop competing and really focus on that conscious-minded traveler that
Yeah.
you know, that
Yeah,
knows.
because it's half on, people blame a lot of times the person building the project, but it's also on like who you attract and etc. And I also see, like we talked about this before, which is, we mentioned places like Nosara, Santa Teresa, Uvita, these beach locations, Chiripo, that are in the mountains that are getting popular, with people trying to build community, retreat centers, other things. And one thing that I've noticed is there's a lot of good examples, like you mentioned Cabo Blanco, where you could be in a place like Santa Teresa or Nosara and choose to do what Stephen Brooks did with Eterna and really go a little bit out of the overcrowded zone that's very developed and say, look,
Yeah.
let's spread this out. At the end, all of these projects are one in hundreds of regular projects, so they're not, if anything, making not only a negative dent, they're really trying to bridge to the local community.
Let's get back to that because I know Stephen Brooks has gotten a lot of can I say he's gotten a lot of shit on the
Yeah,
podcast?
he'll say it too, and he's doing his fucking best.
Because it's exactly that. He's gotten a lot of undeserved shit. And I'll tell you why I think well, I know it's undeserved. A lot of people come to develop, and most of them come with the wrong idea, with the wrong. I mean, there is such a, I'm not trying to be closed-minded. I'm not closed-minded, you know that. But Stephen came with the right idea. And it just happens that when you attain success, in whatever it is you're doing, you're going to always attract a very small percentage of people that just have this harbored resentment. And if you were able to really find the opinion of the 100% of the people around Stephen, clearly over 99% of them would be appreciative of that. Number one, he developed something low density, tastefully. He has a communication with the local community. He, he is going to areas that are not crowded generally. I mean, look at Machuca,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Ecovilla, and he's stimulating the economy in a beautiful way. I think these people generally come with, money, and they are so happy to participate and to purchase services and goods from the local community. So the problem is that there's always going to be like a 1%, or even if that number goes up to a 2 or 3%. I mean, in the best democracies, you're never at those numbers. It's usually
Right.
like a 50-50 now. There's polarization everywhere. But with technology, even a 1% feels like it's a polarization. So if you have a 1% dissension, or
Yeah, yeah.
just a very small percentage of the population that have something negative to say about you and your project, I think that's a huge success. The problem is that that 1% usually gets heard a lot, and podcasts
I got,
and
by the way, my first the team that I work with was thrilled. They're like, "Oh, people are hating on you. You're getting more attention. Good for you." But somebody reposted on some like Costa Rica gentrifier thing, like one of my Instagram, like one of my newsletters. And it was because of an architect I worked with, and they found like people. Anyway, it was a newsletter that they reposted on their story that was about slowing down real estate development. And that's the one they posted about gentrification. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, but yeah, I think the important thing is to have a conversation always and always grow. Ian Michael at Holos, first thing he did was host this huge community dinner. I don't know if that was the smartest thing because they were like, Eduardo, ¿qué es un retiro psicodélico? And I was like, cuidado,
Yeah,
cuidado,
don't
Domingo.
go there yet.
Don't go.
No, but communication is everything, and we're talking about how much technology to communicate there is right now, but how much real communication is happening. We have the tools, the more tools than ever to communicate, yet there's probably less communication than ever right now. It's the irony of technology. It's the irony of the situation. It's like you would think, but the reality is that we need to communicate more in person, one-on-one, physically in the same space,
Mm,
ideally. And what he did, and I think what Stephen has done and is doing more so now, or any of the other mutual friends that we have that are doing some conscious-minded development, people are communicating, and that makes it so much better and easier because at the end of the day, that's going to generate understanding.
yeah.
And understanding is like the basis of tolerance.
Mm,
Or even not just tolerance. Tolerance is the beginning. Once you tolerate and you understand, then you appreciate.
yeah.
And then once you appreciate, you're a part of the whole dynamic. And if it's a good project, that's just going to improve everybody's lives. It's going to improve the local microeconomy. It's going to improve education for both the residents that come from a high socioeconomic background, but also the locals that have more limited resources.
Yeah.
Generally, they're going to probably, in a very short term, have access to better education.
And by the way, you mentioned it earlier about getting to know these different places, but when I work with my clients and they're like, Ed, we want to buy some land, do something beyond the house, a project. Oftentimes I talk them out of it just for different reasons. I want to make sure it's aligned. But the ones who do, I really send them to go live and be in a place for a while
Yeah,
and just, start learning local slang, meet the guy at the supermarket who you see every day, whatever it is. Get to know a place to even see if you like it. I have so many friends who just have moved around climate reasons, everything to see where is home and where do I want to do something. So I even in regenerative development, like I studied with Bill Reed in Regenesis and it was really like a story of place and just spending 6 months talking to locals.
place.
And I was like, yeah, I thought we were going to do some kind of sustainable development, techniques, architecture. The whole course was, essentially about developing relationships. Also a field of energy in a project, the architect, the lawyer, that everything in the field. And I feel that way when you recommend someone, it's just, yeah, you're used to working with good people, you know?
Yeah, and over time, obviously, the list grows a little bit, but it also evolves, and you eventually surround yourself with amazing people. You said something great. It's not unique to you. I think a lot of people that are smart and conscious will tell someone that might be interested in developing, especially where they're not from, dude, go live there, spend some time there, communicate, feel it, get a sense of it, and then you can make a decision. You might actually talk yourself out of it and not have a professional or a friend do that for you. I guess it's kind of like the Socratic method put in modern times for the developer or the individual desiring to be a professor, a developer. Um, but anyways, yeah, I'm getting here a little bit of a hold on.
Yeah, no worries.
This guy up.
It's a good moment for a topic switch too,
Yeah.
a small topic switch, because I do
For a
want to,
little, hold on.
yeah, I'll give you a second. Don't worry. Take your time.
All right.
Yeah, I
So
do
now,
want to talk a little bit because a lot of the people who listen to this are people who one would like to develop some kind of land project of their own. Two, recently a lot of retreat leaders and people who don't own land but bring groups and are looking for aligned spaces that have heart ask me, Ed, are there any magic, places in Costa Rica that aren't just high end but feel soul, feel, have experiences that make you feel Costa Rica. And yeah, there's not many places that I can think of on that list, and Rio Perdido is one of them where I'm like, wow, Gabriel for years, the kitchen, the place, the staff, like the story of the staff, the
You
family.
saw that.
Yeah, I saw the post recently. Yeah, share with me a little bit about your love child, Rio Perdido, because yeah, it's been inspiring, and I think a lot of people would be interested to hear about it.
I'm happy to share a little bit about it, but yeah, I think you've known me long enough, more than long enough to understand that I do whatever possible to keep the child alive, and to I think adventure and getting lost. By the way, Rio Perdido is sometimes people are like, oh yeah, the Lost River. And I'm like, just like when you talk about single malt scotch, single malt doesn't go together necessarily. It's a compound concept. It's single source or only malt
Yes,
from,
yes.
so it's not a word that goes together. Rio Perdido doesn't necessarily come together as one title. It could be two things. There's an amazing river that was lost for, probably around 400 years. We found a lot of native artifacts that suggest about that long. But, besides it being lost, it's just a special thermal river. And then the loss can apply to yourself, to a human desiring to get a little bit lost, because that, it sounds very cliche, but that often helps people find themselves. Um, so that's precisely what happened. Like I've always tried to keep that in my life, the idea of being a little bit lost, but in a great way, like in an adventurous way. And by doing so, we found this nook in the middle of the Cordillera Volcánica de Guanacaste, which is the volcanic Sierra of Guanacaste. It basically includes three or four volcanoes, but like 25 or 30 craters. And it's just one of those places that you find, like, I found it late. I had already been in Costa Rica for like probably close to 10 years when I found this place. And I had been coming here for maybe close to 20. And I couldn't believe that it took me that long to find this place. Um, it is that area, that Sierra of volcanoes is amazing. And it's kind of that same amazement that you could feel in Osa Peninsula. It's just really you might be an hour away from like a city or an airport, but it feels like you traveled an entire day to get there, even though you didn't.
It looks like Mars, some of it. Like the Hot
Yeah,
Spring River, first of all, is like turquoise blue, and you put on the mud, and it's out of a movie. And then I actually did get lost on a hike that I had there. And
you
I
did
felt
good.
like I
You
was
did,
in the Grand Canyon or something. I mean, the natural wonder, and I mean that's
yeah,
all you
yeah.
have to do, put people in nature. The natural wonder is, yeah, stunning.
Well, a lot of people say they're like, you're so lucky, or maybe it's not luck, but
Mm.
to have stumbled upon this place. Um, and I've become a little bit, yeah, because a lot of people also say that it should be a national park. And I've been to a
Did
lot
it
of
all.
national parks, and I think to myself, I'm like, I'm very happy, not just from a selfish perspective, but I'm very happy that it's not a national park from a selfless perspective. I think that, obviously it doesn't sound very humble, but I feel like if it wasn't in our hands right now, uh, even if it was in the public sectors, well, more so probably,
Yeah.
uh, you know, it just probably wouldn't be receiving the respect that it absolutely deserves. I mean, the entire planet deserves our respect, but a place like this that is singular, more so.
Yeah, and Bill Reed, who's like a father of sustainability for me, said there's many case studies where human intervention supported place, many. So it's not just humans are bad, you could look study after study where people who care about the nature like you do, you've done better trails, tree markings, things than I've seen in any national park here, and the maintenance and the ability
Thank you.
to enjoy them on foot, on bike, on whatever. So yeah, I do think I actually looked at it legally here because there's the national parks and the private, like a person who creates a park, there's like a status for that. these private reserves and etc.
Private reserves, yeah.
But in I think Rio Perdido is over 1,000. Is it 1,000 hectares now?
No, 1,500 acres, roughly
Acres.
600 hectares. And you've been there and it feels like a lot more. And it's because most of the neighbors have kept the land, I won't say raw,
Hmm.
but they haven't really, uh, fortunately, they haven't found productivity for it.
Cool. Yeah, and
And
a
the
lot
neighbors
of
and the
times,
neighbors that have tried to find productivity for their land,
yeah,
either through tourism or through agriculture, have failed. And the reason why they failed, I'm not going to say it's because they're bad people, but I will say that they're not conscious, that they are greedy. And I know it sounds very negative, but it's the reality, man. I listen to a lot of podcasts where they try too hard to be positive. And yeah, we have to always find positivity in any subject. But in this case, I'm going to say it like it is. People around us, some of them are just fools. And they're not, and I say that because once you decimate a forest that may not be tall, but these like 3 meter tall trees, which include Guayacan reales.
yeah,
A 3 meter
yeah.
Guayacan could be 200 years old. And this guy just came and raised all these amazing
Wow.
trees. And the government, even if they found out about it, they wouldn't give them any problems because they see a short tree and they think it's, 3 years old. But this beautiful dwarf forest was destroyed literally overnight for planting watermelon, not even
Yeah.
organic watermelon, horribly sprayed watermelon.
Oh,
And I know for a fact that this guy is going to lose money. So
yeah.
he's involved in a venture that harmed the environment and won't even bring him or anybody else around him any good.
Yeah.
People that eat these watermelons are going to get sick. So
Yeah.
literally, the consumer, everybody involved in this chain is getting affected in a negative way. And what we've always tried to do, and it doesn't sound like I'm being very humble, but when it comes to listening and doing it, it is a lot. There's a lot of humility involved, and we've all put a lot of effort into that to do things that are connected, that are right. And maybe there will be some mistakes or some, things that we do wrong, but ideally there'll be few and far between
Yeah.
because we're conscious.
And you mentioned something that I do want to put in perspective, like zooming out, which is one, there is a pattern that's endemic to the world, that if we don't evolve out of as a human species, we're fucked. Okay. And it's things like greed, things like survival, things, all these almost seven deadly sins, if you will. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's not about even a gringo in this case, or an American or a foreigner. Here's a Tico person who has two options. As an example, one is chemically laden agriculture or tourism that they might do in a horrible way, as we mentioned, and still raise those trees. So it's not about Gringo or Tico, and it's not about necessarily,
No,
these perspectives, but also about what's happening economically. I work with the
right.
nonprofit Leap Forward with a lot of human evolution
Yeah.
work, and now we see it as, and Ronit, the founder, is almost fully systemic. Everything you look at is at a overuse and extraction,
Yeah.
collapse point. So yeah, I feel you on the.
Dude, short-sightedness, and this is no reference to your glasses, your beautiful glasses, but short-sightedness is a huge problem. It's a huge problem. We could think um, that we're doing a good thing, but it's a good thing maybe at a very short period of time. Um, we've since the Industrial Revolution began, like over 200 years ago, and I think it was like in Great Britain, they had these very industrial areas. Back then, they were using steam and coal, and that was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Since then, they knew that if we carried on the wrong path, you said the word, we would be fucked. And so that's 250 years of knowing that. But but even when people start to get lung cancer,
Mhm.
we don't take immediate or proper action. When do we take action? Well, when the sickness, in one way or another, affects the economical aspect of the situation. We are making the biggest decisions based on economic factors. And that's going to be a reality even
Yeah.
going forward, because we think, no, after the pandemic, people are, there's a lot of problems, but we're also a little wiser and we're going to listen to our Mother Earth and do what's right. But I'm here to tell you that that's probably the wrong notion. Not that I am a little older than you. So I've seen a little bit more, and I don't think we're going to do the right thing just because it's the right thing. I think that what we should do is not allow 200 or 100 or even 10 years to go by so that the economical aspect of the situation forces our change. If we're not
Yeah.
going to change because it's the right thing to do, let's consider the economics of it sooner.
Yeah,
Let's re
economics and immediacy, I would say, because what you said
yeah.
earlier was so critical. People are not looking ahead. We're not wired to. Our brain is wired for survival and immediate problems, volcano erupting, jaguar at my neck.
So
Unfortunately, we take that to now, and that's not happening. And so if a problem is far out, nobody cares. Oh, we're destroying the environment.
you
Okay.
just said you just said we're not wired for that. That's cool. That's because my expertise academically is in the biological sciences, and you just brought up a good point. We're making our decisions not economically and not long term. We're doing these biological, these evolutionary decisions in the moment,
Yeah.
and it's very human. It's very animalistic. But I think what's the definition of sophistication or civilization?
Evolution, in a way.
But if you're really sophisticated, it won't only be about evolution. It'll be about uh, getting beyond those instinctive decisions and considering another form of decision, which will allow us to see further ahead.
I know we're getting towards the end of our time, but I do want to say I'll post a resource here called Dear Future Human, where Ronit Herzfeld, the founder of Leap Forward that I mentioned, she pretty much, as a psychologist and many other fields of expertise, she spells out a format for the necessity of that rewiring now. It's part of our evolution, but we put so much energy into CERN and the God particle and going to space, but if we took all of the experts in the world now around this, the interior, and helping us as a species evolve so we don't kill each other, burn down the rainforest, it's pretty, I would say, critical to our survival at this point, not just like a lofty concept, that we must evolve. And
Wait, let me ask you this question. How will those people that have that clarity within be heard by a lot of people who do not, which is the majority?
that's a
How
big
how will we be heard? Well, I just put us. I said we. Shit.
Yeah, yeah, you're part of it.
Also,
You've always cared.
nah, man.
That's what binds us.
But
You've always
how do we get heard?
I don't I think it's a huge point, unfortunately, that you could see what's happening with social media now and many things. I think the reality is, and I'll quote Bill again, that in nature you only need, I think, 16 or 18% of, like, I guess, regenerative change in the environment for the organism itself to keep going after that. So I don't think we will ever get a majority of people. But I think acupuncture points around the world and I think there's some quote, but like a small group of people who care will change the world. I believe in that. And I don't think there's anything else to do. Like, half my life was dedicated to proving myself, making it, the rat race. When I realized there's more and seeing how much service and other things fill me up and fill my cup, I'm like, whoa, there's cool shit we could do while we're here. Personally, grow, be part of the puzzle, evolve, figure things out, love, make babies, do like the human experience as much as we can. And collectively, like, you've been one of my friends for a while, but I think what's bound my friend group now is people who care about themselves and others and want to grow. That's it. We're just curious. That's why me and you can't do a 30-minute call, because there's so many topics I want to talk to Gabriel about, including
Yeah. Yeah, we could be here all day.
We got to do a road
We
trip
could help a
soon.
lot of people fall asleep.
Yeah. Well, Gabriel, I appreciate it, man. Your time is precious thing, so thank you. Your opinion, your heart mean a lot.
Much love to you, man. Mucha salud.
Gracias, hermano.